Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable garden. It's a beautiful day here in August. Little low humidity, which is really nice for working out in the garden. Well, anyhow, today I thought we would go harvest these amazing Sungold cherry tomatoes. And so thanks for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. So I live here in Pennsylvania, Zone 6, and our frost date is May 15th. And so I wait about a week after our last frost date to plant these Sungold cherry tomatoes. And you know, these are my favorite tomatoes out in the garden. Again, they look like grapes hanging there. And I don't prune my Sungold cherry tomatoes. I just let them do their thing, you know, let the suckers develop. And that's what I would encourage you to do. It's just amazing how many tomatoes one of these plants will produce. And you know, they like a good 6 to 8 hours of sun, a good rich fertile soil. And I have 3 areas here that I have Sungold cherry tomatoes growing up. I have 3 trellises. And so I'm going to take you through our garden today harvesting these tasty and delicious tomatoes. You know, last year I planted for the first time these yellow pear tomatoes as an experiment. And so I actually did a video comparing the Sungold cherry tomato against the yellow pear tomato, a taste test comparison. And I'll have to tell you, the Sungold cherry tomatoes are far sweeter than those yellow pear tomatoes. So I just grow the Sungold cherry tomatoes. So anyhow, I have one of the trellises right behind me that I walk through on my videos, and why don't we start harvesting these tasty and delicious tomatoes from this trellis right here. I have my wife's longer burger basket that I'll harvest these tomatoes in, but why don't we first take a closer look at this beautiful plant that's growing up the side of the trellis. Good morning, Bailey. How are you today, my boy? So I have one Sungold cherry tomato plant here growing up the side. And let's just take a closer look at how beautiful these are, just hanging on the vine. Again, they just remind me so much of like grapes developing on the vine. And so I have a lot of them hanging right here in this area. Again, one of my favorite things to do is just walk around the garden and eat the vegetables right from the plants. And I love having them grow up the trellises so you can just walk under them and just eat them as you're walking through the trellis. But another nice thing about this particular tomato plant is they really ripen earlier. They're my first ripening tomato plant in the garden. I even have a sweet million tomato plant growing over there in my other trellis that I grew for the first time, and even that didn't ripen as early as these Sungold cherry tomatoes did. And you know, you can also just freeze these too. I put them in 1 gallon heavy duty Ziploc bags, and I think one bag held over 200 of these beautiful tasty tomatoes. we're finished harvesting the tomatoes from this plant, why don't we go over to the other trellis? So follow me over there. So I planted one of these Sungold cherry tomatoes up the corner of this outdoor garden structure, and I ended up buying these from Ray's Greenhouse locally in Telford, PA, and I paid about $1.25 for each plant. So just think of the amount of tomatoes you can produce from one plant. And I just tied the vine up in the beginning as it was growing up the trellis. I used jute twine to tie my plants, and it'll just grow up and over and then down the other side of this trellis. These have grown a good 12 feet long, so you really want to make sure you provide some good support. So anyhow, let's take a closer look at this beautiful plant before I harvest some of these tomatoes. But again, you can just see how they're hanging here like grapes. These are very prolific plants to grow in your garden. Something really easy to do. I also have some Malabar spinach growing up alongside of here. Another beautiful plant to grow in your garden. I would encourage you to think about doing, but anyhow, you can just see how these are growing up and over the trellis here. What's nice is I have my outdoor garden, my outdoor shower here, and once these start ripening, I can take a shower while eating my tomatoes, so it's a wonderful thing. So anyhow, let's start harvesting these beautiful, tasty tomatoes. Well, anyhow, I think that does it for this plant. And so let's head over to my one more trellis over there in my potato patch area. So follow me along. So what I have here is a cattle panel trellis. I bought this locally from a tractor supply company. These are about $22. I actually did a video a couple years ago on how you can build one of these, I think for like $45. You need to buy one of these panels. They're 50 inches wide by 16 feet long, and then 4 T-posts that you would use for a metal fence to hold it down. But you know, the video teaches you how you can construct one of these in your garden. They're very inexpensive to build, and you know, they last forever, and you can grow all kinds of vegetables up these. But you know, this gets a good full sun here during the day. But you know, this is also, I use this as an entrance into my potato patch area here. So why don't we harvest this last tomato plant that we have here in my garden. And so I just have a few more of these tasty and delicious tomatoes to harvest from the underneath of this trellis here. What's nice having this arched trellis is that you can harvest these from both sides. Makes it really easy. Anyhow, I think that's enough from this plant here, and so I have pretty much in this basket here. Well, anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden harvesting these amazing Sungold cherry tomatoes. And if you have any questions or comments about this video, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And you can also visit us at plantsmartliving.com. And there you can learn more about gardening and also how you can reclaim your health by adopting a whole food, plant-based, vegan lifestyle. Well, anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.